can try and win championships, and that's what it's all about. When you look from the outside and you watch this team, I know we're going to have a real good, solid hockey team this year.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Rangers. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, joined by my co-host, Eric Wilson. Today, we're recapping the New York Rangers win against Toronto, extending the winning streak to 5 games. Super excited to dive into this one, but before we go ahead and get started on this game recap, Eric, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. You know the saying, every day after a Rangers win is a good day. I keep saying it because we just keep winning, and we're on the longest winning streak of the season so far. So, yeah, all is well over here.
Yeah, of course, the New York Rangers were in a little bit of a funk last month, and there was some talk about should Gerard Gallant be on the hot seat? Is there an issue with the captaincy of Jacob Trouba? What's the problem with the Rangers? Well, the lines got adjusted, and then they got adjusted again, and then they got adjusted again, and maybe a couple more times after that. And it seems like Gerard Gallant has finally found that perfect winning formula as the Rangers have extended their win streak to 5 games with a huge win over Toronto. Toronto was rolling. They were getting points in every single game. The Rangers have gone ahead and killed that streak for Toronto and gone ahead and extended their winning streak. Really exciting stuff. But Eric, what was your main takeaway from last night's matchup with the Rangers and Toronto?
I mean, I definitely think the biggest thing that contributed to this huge win over a team who's as good as Toronto is that pretty much everyone contributed. Igor played completely out of his mind, definitely kept us in it a little bit because Toronto does have a lot of offensive star power. They're like Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, William Nylander, John Tavares. I can just name every single player on that roster. They're a pretty good goal-scoring team. And the defense also really stepped it up in front of Igor as well. The only defenseman that I would complain about would be Jacob Trouba. As always, he kind of just brought the team down a bit. But Adam Fox looked incredible. Keandre Miller looked incredible. Pretty much the entire defensive core, Libor Hayek wasn't playing last night. We had Harper come in. I don't even know who that was, but he came in and he just looked like he's been playing on the team all season. So pretty much what I'm trying to say is everyone on the team has contributed. There were a lot of different forwards who recorded points. The defense played great in front of Igor, and then Igor also just happened to play out of his mind as well.
Yeah, Igor did play great. He had 22 saves on 23 shots, 0.957 save percentage, only let in 1 goal last night. But the real star of the show last night was Jimmy Vesey. Now, Jimmy Vesey is a player who the Rangers picked back up this offseason. He was with the Rangers once before, took some time away with some other teams. The Rangers went ahead and took a chance on him this offseason. We thought that was a ballsy move. We thought it was the right move, but so far, so good. I mean, Jimmy Vesey with a real breakout game last night with 2 goals. One was on an empty net, but the other one was an absolute snipe. Eric, what are your thoughts on Jimmy Vesey at this point in the season? And do you think that he's going to continue to be a player that pushes the Rangers to win these clutch games?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty satisfied with the way that he's been playing so far this season. When we signed him to the PTO, I was a little concerned or just curious to see what was going to happen because, he had him to be. We were kind of expecting a star that first time around, but the way that we're using him now this season, he's ended up being pretty productive. Last night with his 2 goals, he was playing down on the third line next to Trocheck and Kreider, and I really like that line. The kid line up in the top 6, having Panarin up on the first line, kind of leaves room to have the bottom 6 be more developed, have more depth. So I'm a big fan of it. VC is a pretty good player overall, but just the players that he's playing next to right now and the way that he's fit in as like a little bit of a role player, I'm very, very happy with it. The first goal that he scored last night, I think, in my opinion, so far is the best goal scored by the New York Rangers this season. He pretty much just walked a defender and then just sniped Matt Murray, who is arguably the Vezina favorite at this point in the season. I think he only has like 2 losses the entire season, and one of them just came from last night. And then VC gets another empty net goal. So definitely wouldn't have won without VC last night, and he's doing everything he can and everything we want him to play in this second stint with the Rangers.
For sure. And there's another crucial signing that the Rangers made this offseason that came to play last night, and that's Vincent Trocheck. He had 2 assists. Eric, how excited are you by the performance of Trocheck, especially in the most recent games? I think that he's really taken his game to another level. I think at the beginning of the season, we saw Trocheck kind of having to ease into the lineup, new team, new scheme, all that good stuff. And it took him a little bit to get going, but now he's really gotten going in a 2-assist game from him last night in the 3-1 victory over Toronto. What are your thoughts on Trocheck, the way he's played all season, and how do you feel like he's really taken his game to that next level in recent games?
Oh, I mean, I'm very happy with Trocheck, and it makes the signing even better because at the beginning of the season, Trocheck it took him a little bit of like of a transitional period to get used to the Rangers after playing on a different team for many many seasons. But it kind of seems like he's found his place on the team. He's right now playing next to Vesey and Kreider down the third line, which isn't what we expected. He was supposed to be the 2C. But what are you going to do when the kid line just keeps producing points the way that they are? Trocheck, unfortunately, will just have to play in the bottom six for now, but you can't complain too much because it's working. 30 games into the season, I think 31 now after last night. He's had 10 goals, 12 assists, 22 points in 31 games. That's pretty good for a third liner right there. So the depth that we've been looking for and we've been needing this entire time to really elevate the team, we kind of just found in Trocheck. So is it sad that we kind of got to see him and Kreider down on the third line a little bit, but it's working. You can't complain too much, and just we got to hope that they just keep putting up points.
Yes, sir. And another main storyline from last night. This was a storyline in a couple of games ago that we discussed on the channel, but the kid line, they're playing really well. They're not all together. The kid line is not necessarily a line in truth right now, but they are all playing really well on their separate lines. Hedel with a goal last night, Lafreniere with an assist, and Kako with an assist. Eric, what are you seeing from these kids? How are they taking that next step? Because it's clear and obvious that they are taking that next step. They were the key to that successful Rangers season last year that saw us make our way all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. But this year, I feel like each and every single one of them has kind of started to come into their own, and not necessarily playing all together on that line, but they're playing on their separate lines and they're playing well, and they're all starting to really experience a lot of development and growth. And what are your thoughts on players like Hedel, players like Kako, and Lafreniere taking that next step right now? And what could that mean for the future of the New York Rangers?
Yeah, I mean, the kid line's great. And I know like they have been playing on different lines throughout last season, but throughout most of last night's game against Toronto, they were playing together on the same line. And I'm pretty sure today during practice, they were practicing together as the second line unit right there. So it's kind of looking like we are going to see them playing together for the next couple of games while we're on this win streak and things are really rolling. And they are all producing. We were expecting breakout seasons from all three of them. I think definitely the most successful of those breakouts so far has been Philip Hedel. Ever since he got back from injury just a couple weeks ago, he's been pretty much playing almost a point per game. He has 7 goals on the season now, I think, and his career high is only like 12 or 13, I'm pretty sure. So we're definitely going to see some records, some personal records being broken by Hedel this season, and hopefully he can just continue to break out and lead us into the playoffs with like a pretty good depth center right there. Because look at centers is pretty much the most important position outside of goaltending, in my opinion, because you need to win the face-offs, you need to control the play, and you really just got to just break out the puck and give it to your guys. And you're mainly just an assist guy right there. So Zibanejad, Trocheck, Hedel, those three right there, I think that's enough center depth to potentially make it to the Stanley Cup Finals, based off the way that Hedel is playing this season so far. As for the rest of the kids, I think the most disappointing so far has been Lafreniere. Kako's been starting to break out a little bit. His puck luck is finally turning his way. He's putting those chances into the net. And Lafreniere, I feel like, is at the point where Kako was at the beginning of this season, where like he's looking good, he's looking strong with the puck. Just it's any one of these days now, he's going to start putting it in the net. So Kako just got a little bit of a boost. Lafreniere, I think, will definitely be there by the end of the season, and the kid line will hopefully just look like a point per game line right there.
Yeah, we would love to see that, right? A point per game line out of the kids. That would be excellent. But another thing that was a great storyline coming out of last night was the special teams. 51% face-off wins, 1-for-1 on the power play, 3-for-3 penalty kill. The Rangers have done a really good job when they're shorthanded, when they're in a tight position. They are finding ways to succeed. And I think that's been a big part of this win streak. A 5-game win streak, especially during this tough stretch of the season for the Rangers. This is the most crucial stretch of the season. We did a video on that a couple of weeks ago, kind of discussing how the teams that succeed during that stretch from Thanksgiving to Christmas are the teams that make the postseason and oftentimes make it pretty deep in the postseason. And right now we're seeing the Rangers during this crucial time period of the NHL season really elevate their game, play their best hockey of the season, and find a lot of success. So this 5-game win streak, I feel like you don't have this without the success of the special teams here and the way that the Rangers have been playing when they're in these tight situations. But Eric, what are your thoughts on that? And do you think that that has been the main catalyst to the winning streak?
I don't know if it's the number one catalyst, but it's definitely a huge part because you just look at our stats going into last night's game. I don't know how they've updated since the win, but face-off percentage, we were 21st in the league. So I'm pretty sure we only were winning like 48% of face-offs throughout the entire season, which isn't even winning more than losing. So like the fact that it's improving and we're back in the positives, winning over half of our face-off wins last night, that's a good sign, and it's definitely contributing to the wins, because the longer you control the puck is the less time that the other team has the ability to score on you. And then I don't remember exactly what our power play and penalty kill stats were, but I know they were around like 14 to 16th ish in the league, like right middle ground, not too good, not too bad. But going perfect on the power play last night, 1-for-1 thanks to Hedel, and then 3-for-3 on the penalty kill, no thanks to Trouba. It's 100% right there. So it's going to boost our stats a little bit, and special teams are definitely extremely important, especially when you consider the fact that the Rangers haven't been the best this season, 5v5, just like last season. So you really do need to capitalize on the special teams right there, get your goals on the power play when you can, and prevent the other team from scoring goals on their power play when you can, if you're not going to score 5v5, which is definitely something that we need to improve on. But we have improved upon a little bit throughout this little stretch that we're winning.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of improvements from the team during this winning stretch, but there also have been some pieces of disappointment. And I know, Eric, we were texting during the game last night, and there was a player who you said stood out as being the weak link here for the entire team. I mean, it was a great game from the Rangers. Pretty much everybody came to play, but in your opinion, you were pretty critical of Jacob Trouba and the way that he performed last night. He did finish the game with an assist, but defensively, maybe not the best last night. We didn't get the best out of him. And I think that's been kind of a common theme here throughout the season. There's been a lot of performances where Trouba has left something to be desired out there on the ice and hasn't necessarily turned in the best performance. Now, that's not to say that he's been a terrible player for the Rangers or even a bad captain, because clearly the Rangers on this win streak, they got into a slump. Trouba was vocal from everything we've heard about him in the locker room, and it seems like he's been a huge part of turning the team around and helping them find these wins. But his performances so far this season, he has left something to be desired, and he's kind of underperformed in many ways. So, Eric, what are your thoughts on Jacob Trouba, especially after last night's performance? You weren't too crazy about the way he played. Rangers picked up the win anyway. What are your thoughts on him, and do you think that he might be holding the Rangers defense back at all?
I think he's definitely holding them back a little bit, and it's frustrating because I love Trouba. I think he's a great captain. He's a great leadership presence in the locker room, but it's really just when he's on the ice, it's extremely frustrating. And there were two instances last night where I just became extremely frustrated with Trouba. There was one of them where one of the Toronto players had it coming up on a breakaway. There was a 2-on-1. Keandre Miller was back. Jacob Trouba was trying to rush back to stop it. Keandre Miller batted the puck out of the air, lifted the guy's stick, and cleared the puck. Keandre Miller, on his own, broke up a 2-on-1 rush. And then Trouba finally gets back and just lays out the other Toronto guy into the net and takes an interference call. And it was like the most unnecessary penalty I've ever seen. Sometimes when it's a 2-on-1, you do have to take a penalty just to break it up and just so you can reset and just play defense on the penalty kill. But Keandre Miller had already ended the play. We had the puck back in possession, and then Trouba just comes flying out of nowhere, lays this guy out, and then we're on the penalty kill. Now, thankfully, we were able to kill it off, because if they scored on that power play, I would have flipped out. That would have been extremely frustrating. And then the other one that Trouba just sent my mind into chaos was we were controlling the puck in the offensive zone. One of the Toronto players lost a stick. So he's just skating around without a stick, just trying to act like a pylon. And we have control of the play. Like, what are they going to do? We're basically on a power play right there. Trouba just takes it and just like lofts it from the point right into the goaltender's chest. And we're like, we had a perfect opportunity right there where they could not get control of the puck, and he just wasted it off the lightest, most insignificant shot that I've ever seen. So yeah, I could probably name a couple more things, but those were the two big ones where I was like, Jacob Trouba, you are killing me right now. Outside of him, though, I think that the big reason that we did win was because every single other player played the most perfect game that they could have right there. I have no complaints about anyone else. It was just Trouba. I hate him.
Well, there's always got to be someone who doesn't come to play. I mean, listen, like, even though the Rangers are playing great, they're winning 5 in a row right now, there's going to be great performances out there, but somebody's always going to falter. And hopefully the trend of it being Jacob Trouba in more games than not comes to an end. I'd like to see him start to play at a bit of a higher level on a more consistent basis. But again, like you said, pretty much everybody played a perfect game, whether you're talking about Igor Shesterkin in net, or you're talking about the kids coming to play, or Trocheck, for Vesey, especially the standout performer from last night's game. What a goal he had in last night's performance. But there's a lot to like from what the Rangers are doing on the ice right now. In the last 5 games, winning these games, finding ways to win on some tough wins down this stretch here against some really good and formidable opponents. But the Rangers are winning, and that's really all that matters. So, Eric, do you have any last-minute thoughts to recap this game?
Just great overall game, and I just hope this win streak doesn't end soon. I know our next 2 games are against the Flyers, who were only 10, 14, and 7, and then the next day on Sunday is against the Blackhawks, who are 7, 17, and 4. So not the greatest teams we're playing against in the next 2 games. Kind of looks like we could easily extend this winning streak to 7. But, we got to be careful when we play against teams like that. You don't want to play down to them. You want to keep playing at this elite level that we came into, just like last night against Toronto. Otherwise, we're going to get surprised and just get shut out by a terrible team like Chicago. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Don't let up. Just keep playing the way we've been playing.
Yeah, got to keep the foot on the gas, no letting up here, and continuing to win these games, especially during this crucial stretch of the season. But that pretty much wraps it up. An awesome game recap here covering the New York Rangers versus Toronto. A big win, extending the win streak to 5 games. The Rangers are rolling. Let's hope that they can keep it up, continue to be that solid team that we know that they are, and make their way into the postseason and hopefully make it pretty far. The trade deadline is looming. A lot of rumors and speculation surrounding the trade deadline are starting to begin, and we'll see what happens with the Rangers and the trade deadline. And of course, we'll keep you updated right here on Fireside Rangers. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel. Ring the bell so you don't miss an episode, and leave a like if you did enjoy this episode. We'll catch you all in the next one. Have a good one, and let's go Rangers.
He shoots. He's